Welcome, beautiful souls. I'm grateful and excited to share with you another episode of Boss Talks, where powerful creators come together to uplift the universal consciousness. And today, I have a very special guest with me. A very inspirational and knowledgeable guest. One that's very in tune with the collective. I just want to thank you for coming to the show, Betsy. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
Oh man. So I
It's
know
nice,
huh?
nice to connect.
Yeah, I love like that's like what I really love this like platform for, to really connect and like see what people do, what kind of projects they working on, like what kind of struggles that, because it's like everybody could, use a like helping hand from somebody that's in it, been there, going there, all different levels of the journey. And so I just get into my first question, like what really got you started on this like spiritual path and like, doing astrology and tarot, like what really got you started into this?
I started my spiritual awakening in 2016. And I think it actually was like, I call it being groomed. Like, I feel like I was groomed my whole life to get to 2016. But, with all the trials and tribulations. And I don't know that it's necessarily fair to say that one person has it harder than another person. But I will say that most people that have to step into like a leadership role these days had to go through a lot of stuff to
Mm,
like
sure.
because I feel like what I do on a regular basis is um I need to know what everybody's gone through. So I've been through it all to be able
Yeah.
to know and to be able to like relate with what everybody's doing. So, but I started my journey in 2016. And I really had a big catalyst moment in 2017. And that's when I went through a really deep, dark night of the soul. And when I got out of the dark night of the soul, I started hearing voices. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Everybody's going to think I'm crazy. But like I had so many messages coming from my spirit guides and I was writing them all out on my phone. And like I was working as a project manager in telecom at the time. I'd been doing that for about 15 years. So I was trying to work and I was trying to like quiet my mind at the same time. It was really hard. So I contacted a psychic in the town in Kansas City because I'm from Kansas City. So I contacted a psychic and I was like, I need to figure out what's going on with me. And she read my cards and she said, this is what you need to be doing to get those messages out. And I was like, all right, never picked up a tarot card in my life. And I did. And I just taught myself. Like I started and I would like work on tarot for hours after my day job, which is funny because before I would bring work home from my day job. And instead of
Mhm.
doing that, I was working on tarot. And at like a month after I taught myself tarot, I put up a video on YouTube. And it was the scariest thing I think I've ever done in my life.
I
Like,
understand that. Yeah.
because I've never been like, I was kind of in the spotlight because I was a dancer growing up, but I was never like front and center, just myself, my voice being heard. And so it was a really scary moment for me and it just took off. It was insane. Like it went so fast, so quick. And then at the same time, everything else in my life was shifting and things were falling off and falling away. And um, it was quite a ride, but 3 years later, here I am. Almost 4 years later, here I am. And it's been so incredibly rewarding, really painful, but really rewarding at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that you're doing this, that you do this podcast, because we all like all of our journeys are different. And so it's nice to hear that everybody has like different kinds of journeys that they go on and it
Mhm.
all sort of comes together in the same point, in the same center point. So
It really does. And it's like this is episode 19, and it's like just getting to hear different people's stories from different perspectives. Yeah, they have some similarities, but they always have like the vast majority, the 80-90%. But it's like the commonality is like the leaders do go through a lot of the toughest struggles. But the thing is, I think everybody has like a tough life because everybody is a leader. They just don't know it yet. And so like they have this life, like you were saying, like, what do I do with all of this knowledge? What do I do with all these downloads? It's like that's how I see everybody is in the process of awakening. Some people like to go back to sleep. Some people actually go and process it and go and find psychics. Like that's the first time I heard that one. Like,
Yeah.
and like that's pretty interesting. Like I haven't heard that one. And so like
Well, I mean, I'd been through all of it before. Like in the past, I'd been told that I had a mental illness and like this and this and like whatever, right? And at this point, I was just like, I don't want to have to go back and have them tell me that I'm wrong with how I
yeah,
feel or what I'm doing or what I'm saying. So I think that was kind of the turning point of me starting to make decisions for myself instead of letting the world make decisions for me. And so it's always very pivotal when I tell people like I I went to seek out somebody that was a spiritual
yeah.
contact instead of going back to like an old cycle or an old way, because so many times in the past I had done that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's like, and as we all do, it's like those cycles are hard to break, and it's
Yeah.
like you usually people just go back to what they know, what they've always done. And then like it takes courage to be the one to put yourself out there to be called crazy. It's like you have to be crazy you have to be insane to believe that you are who you are, because you are that powerful.
Yeah.
And it's like it takes a lot of courage to say, no, I am this powerful. Like, no, I am getting these downloads from the universe. No, this is happening to me. A lot of people like to deny their powers, and then so you kind of like you become more docile, but it's like the more you like want to hear and awaken to these thoughts, it's like no, like God is speaking to me and through me and for me, and so like that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like my whole life, it was always that I was a woman, right? So my voice wasn't really necessarily heard, and I worked in a man's world, and I was a leader working in a man's world.
Yeah,
And I think that gave my ego such a power trip for that, just even that. But in all other areas of my life, I wasn't able to stand up for myself and say, like, open up my, like really have my voice be heard.
yeah.
And I think that that's probably it's an amazing thing when you can feel like you're whole, right? Like nobody else can tell you who you are anymore. And that's the most important part to me, is to keep reminding yourself that you're whole, and it doesn't matter. Like if you're having feelings, those feelings are validating how, who you are, and nobody else gets to define that for you. So yeah, that's a really big, huge thing to remember when because I think there's so many people that are waking up right now with the way the energies are, and
People are
just,
waking up.
yeah, like the pressures that everybody's feeling, everybody's waking up so
Mhm.
quickly.
And it's
So
like you have to forgive yourself for that, for the old, for the like, because it's like you're saying, like the ego is a crazy place. It'll have you thinking you're coming from a place of power. But it's like when you listen to the downloads, like you're saying, like picking up the tarot cards, actually ingraining and spending that time doing it, like you feeding your soul. So when
mhm,
you feed in your soul, that's the wholeness of you. So it's like that's you feeding yourself, so you're growing through your soul instead of growing through the ego. And so
right.
like that's why I like that's why I like these conversations, because it's all about following your passions. It's like things that like come your way, things that like you enjoy doing and things like that. These things that feed your soul, you like get into that like childlike energy, because like
Oh, absolutely.
I was just talking to Henry earlier, and it's like you didn't go back to the old ways whenever it came to like awakening. You said like I need to try something different because what I was doing before, it ain't give me what to where like to the peace, the inner peace, and where I want to see myself. So it's like you approach like your passions and those downloads, that divinity, with the
Yeah.
childlike curiosity, and that's really what it's all about.
And it really was like that too in the very beginning, because I was like so, deep into wanting to learn. And then the way that I started astrology was I did a tarot reading, and somebody made a comment on one of the YouTube videos. You can't do tarot without knowing astrology. And whether that's true or not, it hit a chord. And I was like, maybe astrology is something I need to look into now too.
It makes sense.
And yeah, and it was like, and so I just like really dug deep and like dove right into that too. That was something that kind of like I wasn't really comfortable or confident enough doing astrology until just a couple of years ago. Like it took a while for me to get that like really comfortable reading other people's charts, but
It's a lot
Um,
into it.
yeah,
It's
there's
like because it's
a
actually the
lot involved.
stars. It's actually the the angles and the positions of the actual stars and how in the time and when they got to the when they got to Earth. Like I started
Yeah.
reading all this. I was like, it's a lot.
But you can actually look back to when you were conceived and when your soul came into your mother's body, like through astrology. Like
Mhm.
it's insane how you can look at all that stuff. So
Wow, I didn't know that part.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I just learned that part.
yeah, that's wild.
Like,
It goes so deep, and it's like that's why I love like astrology, numerology, and tarot because they're all like beautiful tools and akashic records too. I recently
oh
started
yeah.
reading on that and like how you can tap into like the book of life through your own like I don't know too much about it, but it's like these are beautiful tools that you can use to like learn yourself and figure out your own destiny and your own path because the stars don't lie, the numbers don't lie. The spiritual realm is there. It's something that it's a blueprint that we're all tapped into, an energy
Absolutely.
force.
Yeah. We're all connected through that.
Mhm.
Yeah. The sacred geometry of it all.
It's crazy when you like actually put it together because it's like along the spiritual journey, it's like you gotta grab a little bit of here, grab a little bit there, grab a little bit there, and then like years later you put it all together and it starts to make more sense. It's like because it's like you see the geometry, like a studying geometry in school, and then like I but then we realize that life is all there is. All of life is geometry, all of life is numbers.
It
It's,
is.
it's like it's pretty crazy when you actually put it together.
Absolutely. And we're all interwoven within each other too, which is another crazy concept because like part of it is you have to remember that you're your own sovereign being on the journey, and so you're not responsible for anybody else's energy and they're not responsible for yours. And I even made a point to make sure, like the mothers that I coach, I even say to them, you have to remember that your children came here with a specific journey and chose you to guide them. That doesn't mean that they're an extension of who you are. You don't have to feel the guilt or the pain or the suffering of your child because they chose this journey. You're just here to be their support and their guide for that too. So like it even goes down to remembering that every single person, yes, we're connected to each other in that sacred kind of way, but at the same time we have to be separate as
Yeah,
well, which
like
is
and it's like that balance and that duality,
very fine line.
it's a
Yeah.
very fine line. And it's like with this realm, it's hard to like find that line, like but it's like we're always seeking balance. Like that's the goal, that's the journey. Balance is the goal and the go and balance is the journey and the journey is balance.
Yeah.
Because it's like you never want to be so far like this, uh like detached from the collective to where you don't feel anything that's going on, people's struggles, people's stories, because
Yeah.
that's important to hear out and listen. But at the same time, you want to hear it, but don't absorb the energy and take
Exactly.
it on as your own and say, this is who I am. And like, and it's like we'll take on other people's like stories and energy and watching the news and listening to music and all the stuff that we program ourselves with, we'll take on that energy. So it is good to like detach. It's like like trying to balance and walk that fine line. Like,
Well,
yeah,
and I'm a Libra rising, so and the Libra is the scales, right? It's the balance. So it's like that's always something. And I didn't realize even before I was really Libra rising, I was trying to balance my life out all the time. But that's really where it is like finding that. I want to help people understand that in all relationships you have, whether they're romantic or friendships or coworkers or children or whatever, it's all about you choosing yourself first and understanding that you're the sovereign being first, but also being aware of everybody else's perspectives and where they're coming from and being empathetic to that too. And I think that we get so caught up in, if I think about myself, then I'm a really selfish person. And then, that goes into that ego spiral of being like a selfish, bad person. But I don't know, I think one of the biggest things that I like to get across to people is to understand like that dance of life, that balance and that dance of life. And it doesn't always have to be like the overwhelming
I like
process
I
that we
like
make
that you
it.
use dance because a lot of people use the war within themselves, the battle, but it's like it really is a dance, and
It's a
it's like
flow. Yeah.
it just makes you approach like approach that task differently. You like, man, how can we have fun with this? Like, how can we
Right.
work together instead of like, I have to conquer you and you have to conquer me.
Yeah.
And so like, no, I really like that point.
Well, and there's always been that battle between the female, the masculine and the feminine, you know? And I think, and it's not about a competition between the
Mhm.
masculine and feminine because we're not the same.
Yeah,
Like, you know, and it's so funny because all the, you know, the feminist stuff that happened in the 70s and all of that, and women really trying to be in charge. And it's not that we're at the, like, I think that women aren't supposed to be in charge and we're not supposed to be leaders because we absolutely are.
for
In
sure.
fact, we're going to be the, you know, we're going to be the greatest of leaders because of the flow, because
Oh
of the
yeah.
dance that the feminine lead, you know,
I'm,
does.
I'm
But
I'm a big believer in that energy as well.
yeah, it's not a competition. And I
Yeah.
think that that is where we need to separate the whole idea between like relationships between men and women is it's not, or like masculine and feminine, can't even say men and women anymore, you know, because it encompasses so much more than that.
Yeah, and it's really balancing that masculine and feminine energy within the being,
Inside.
because it's like we'll like most people think it's a like you said like a battle between men and women, but it's like a battle between people within
Yeah.
themselves, the masculine and
Mhm.
feminine, like, and it's like really being able to like work within that yourself. It's like this is something like I definitely try like I work on and I'm conscious of myself because like I know I'm not just a divine masculine. I
Right.
have like the feminine energy in me, to be empathetic, to think about the details and things, and the plan, like different to plan, and then the masculine is like to put the action and to get it done.
Yeah.
And so like no, that's a great point. And it's like people battle that within themselves, and then like once you take that battle out from yourself, you can go and connect with anybody. And like that competition, like that's just like a thing, like a program, like that we've been given. Like people are living in fear, and so it's like you feel like you have to compete because you don't feel like it's enough out there. It's not enough love, it's not enough money, it's not enough peace, it's not enough happiness. But that's
Absolutely.
an illusion that that we've been taught to believe. It's like it's an abundance. It's like look at the trees, look at these oceans. The earth is
Oh, it's
70% water.
infinite. Everything is
It's
infinite.
infinite. You
Yeah.
have all of these different planets, all these different stars, all these different universes. It's like to believe that something lacks, it's an illusion.
Right. Well, and it's so, and I mean, you're in Texas, right? That's where
Yeah.
you're at. Okay. So like you understand the suburban life that like that you kind of get wrapped up in, and everybody lives within this constraint of a like a box, like being
Mhm.
boxed in.
Yeah.
And I just remember like this whole year or 2020, I mean, I had an amazing 2020. I thrived in 2020 where there were so many people that were lacking in 2020. And I had to look at that and I was like, well, I probably would have been one of those people because I grew up in such a lack mentality.
Mhm.
And there are so many things that happen where I'm just like, oh man, that would have been something where I would have looked at that and been like, there's no way that I could have accomplished that. There's no way that I could have like made that dream. And I mean, I even have a support system now that's even pushing me to greater heights, so like pushing me into even bigger things, which is of course scary for somebody that is like just now getting out of that lack mentality and like moving.
We pushing each other, like we connected for a reason, because I'm gonna be the one pushing you to greater heights and you pushing me to greater heights. Like you motivate me, like oh no, we in this talk. Oh yes, I'm just letting you know that the universe has people around you. Of course.
For it. That's good. That's funny. That's cool. I'm good with people pushing me.
Yeah, because I mean, it's time to go to greater heights. It's like this journey, like we're ascending.
Yeah,
It's like and transcending. It's like we're not just growing anymore. Like we're growing and ascending and being the person that that we're supposed to be. And that kind of just leads me into my next question. Like what is God to you? Like how would you describe the indescribable for yourself?
and I love that you asked this question to everybody, by the way, because and I'm gonna just tell you a story really quick about growing up because I was in the church, like I was really heavy in, and it wasn't because of my parents, because my parents didn't want, I mean, they didn't even like going to church. I was the one that was asking them to come to church with me on Easter and stuff. I would go with my grandparents. And so I was always searching for something that was bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And even to the point to where I got baptized as a Christian twice in my life, because like I kept giving my, like trying to figure out that salvation, that, you know, whatever it was that I was looking for. And then when I woke up and realized that I was part of that source, like that source, because I call God source because I feel like God is something different, obviously, to everybody, and that's why you asked that question. But it's within me, and that's what I didn't understand, is that I am a part of God. I am a part of source. I'm a part of the infinite, the universe, everything that is made. And that doesn't make me smaller, where in my past I always saw God as this father figure that was reprimanding and very like, you have to have certain rules, and you have to,
Judgmental, vindictive. Yeah.
absolutely, like you know, like don't sin or you will be, you know, condemned by this God. And that was really hard for me to justify. And so when I got angry with God and I shut God out of my life for like a decade, everybody was really surprised by that I did that when I was younger. And I was just like, I'm just angry, like I don't understand why a God could let me suffer in this way. And then when you wake up and you realize that you're a part of all of it, because that's what God is to me. I am God, goddess, God, you know, the God, you know, who we all are. And when you realize that, and you have to take your ego out of knowing that,
Yeah,
that's
that's
the thing. Because it's not like, I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anybody else. In fact, I think I triggered somebody on Twitter. This dude I was like, because he said something about, I don't know. He said something about something I said, and I was like, "Why? Why do you think that you can talk to a goddess like that?" And he got all sorts of bent out of shape that I called myself a goddess. And I was
yeah,
like, "But this is the thing: is I'm not. You got into your ego. I did not get into mine.
yeah.
I'm just saying what's true. So, and that's it."
That's it.
So, but that's how I feel that God is within all of us. We are all part of that infinite being, and to say that God is a separate entity of who we are, I feel like makes it smaller,
Yeah.
makes God smaller than he actually,
Yeah, it's whatever you want it to be. And it's
yeah,
like I really like that question because like this is a continuous conversation with God, you know, like God and the goddess, you know, it's like us talking. And so it's like I really like to ask that question because like as I like, you know, it's like I really believe that people treat people how they believe God treats them, and then they'll treat themselves the same way. You know,
right.
like you said, like seeing God as a father figure, vindictive, like you got all these rules to follow. It's like, how do you be this perfect being? But it's like when you know that God is all love, kind, that wants for you what you want for you, you will know that you are perfect, and what you're doing right now is what you're supposed to be doing. And it's like whenever you take your ego out of you, you're not saying I am the God. I have control over everything. I'm saying I'm the God of me. I have control over what I eat, what I think, what I do, where I go, where I spend my energy. And then like you were saying, like having that like father figure makes you feel small, like you're
That,
insignificant, like your choices don't matter. But it's like, no, you are important. Like you are a God, like you are important. So it's like your choice does affect the consciousness. Like every single thing that you do, it affects the whole because you are tapped in, you are, you know, are in alignment with everything. And so like that's just one of the I like that's like because I had a similar upbringing, like
mhm.
where I grew up in a church, like youth meeting, choir rehearsal, Sunday school.
Yep.
I baptized twice myself, going back and forth on it, and then like awakening in 2013. I turned my back on God where I was like, nah, like it might not be real. This might not be it. Like I had the exact like similar,
Mhm.
and then like it all comes back full circle. Like you can't deny God for too long because God always go reveal itself through you. And so it's like I came back full circle, you know, like in that's just what it was. You know, I realized that I'm the guy that I've been praying to, like the Jesus that I knew, that's me. Like the Bible, those stories in the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, those are stories about every single person. Like those special beings are us.
Yeah.
Those are just examples for us to follow.
It always blows people's minds when I'm like, so in the Bible when they talk about how Jesus healed other people, So that's Reiki energy that he's using, right? Like it's source energy, it's God energy, and
I
all he
never
did.
seen
Does
nobody
the
put the
same thing that
name.
I do. And I look at them and I'm like, I'm not trying to say that I'm Jesus, of course. Like everybody's different and a different kind of healer. And
Mhm.
at the same time, the fact that it's like so put on a pedestal, like why are we worshiping this dude on a cross that was literally like tortured?
Yeah,
Like, why are you worshiping? Like, that is the worst image
I don't.
to worship. Like,
It's
why are you
crazy.
putting that on your wall?
And people call us crazy for
I
our belief.
know. You got this dude in his underwear with,
Holes in his hands and his feet with a
yes,
with a crown of thorns,
and like
bleeding.
blood. I mean, and I don't get it. You wear it around your neck, you put it on your wall, and then you call that amazing, and you call that, like, I don't see suffering as something that I want to worship in any
Yeah,
way.
it's like
Like,
I love what he did, but that shouldn't have had to happen for us to
no,
appreciate what he did. It's like you can
absolutely not.
choose love. That's all that's all these figures was here to do, to teach us how to love, teach us
Right.
how to, be kind to one
At
another.
one point of his life or his death, I guess,
Yeah, and it's like we shouldn't have to like, and it's like it's crazy how, like, since they symbolize death, you don't even listen to the message and say and treat people with kindness and love. And it's like you can see with the way the world is. Like, look at the presidents, look at the music, look at the
Yeah,
the banking system, look at all of these systems that are in place, and you can tell what people believe about themselves.
absolutely. And it's
Mhm.
it's so amazing to me that I mean, even me, like looking back before, when I was buying into all of that too, I was like, I think about my life before and now, and it's night and day. It's so insane how different it is because, and I can see the struggle. I can see why it's such a struggle for people to want to wake up. Like, who wants to really know all of the information of like all this universal knowledge? Like, who wants to have that responsibility
Yeah,
anyways? Most
yeah.
people don't want to have that responsibility.
Yeah, when you come to God, it does come with a lot. It comes with a lot of
Mhm.
awareness. It comes with a lot of
Yep.
questions. It comes with a lot of answers, and you have to learn how to balance it all. Like when you looking for, when you searching for God, and like people like to play with God, like go and dibble and dabble, and like like think that the church is gonna give you all your answers, or think that somebody has answers for you. But no, it's like the answers are within. And it's
Yeah,
like when you approach God like through like your own internal lens, it's like it does come with a lot. It's like you see things totally different.
yeah,
I hear you.
yeah. I mean, and I think like the further I remove myself from the matrix, the tolerance level that I have for people who are so far into the matrix, the tolerance level, I'm finding myself like I have to keep on pivoting and
Mhm.
shifting my perspective on that because, of course, it's all in love. Like, I send love out to anybody. And there are so many people that are struggling, but they can't hear,
Yeah,
and so I have to remove myself because if you can't hear what I'm saying, I'm not going to force myself to say it louder.
yeah. God don't force itself. The
No,
God
not
is
at
don't
all. And
force
that's
itself.
the
Like
thing. And
it's
that's
like,
that's the difference between God and me and the God that they see. Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna get behind a pulpit and say it really, really loud for you to, I'm not gonna shove it down your throat. You're either
Nah.
gonna hear
You
me or
already
you,
get enough of that. You already get enough of that. I'm gonna say what I gotta say in a calm, peaceful voice. I'm gonna
exactly.
say it through my energy signature. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, somebody else, I like it. That's what matters. I like it. It make me feel good.
Good. At least I'm reaching somebody.
Yeah, so it's like people not gonna feel where you coming from. Like I didn't came to that realization and re-realizing and remembering it over and over. It's
And that's the
I
key.
only want to connect with the people that can like feel what I got to say, because the thing is I can say something one way, you might say it to somebody else, and then somebody go hear from somebody.
Mhm.
And the more people that I can help like put a light into, the more possibilities that person that I was trying to that ignored it, they might hear later on. You never
Yeah,
know. But it's like that's not the point, that's not the goal, that's not the first intention. The first intention is to connect with people that's actually looking for it, that's actually wanting help.
absolutely. The ones that search for it, that's always nice to
Mhm.
have to
Oh yeah.
have that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it
You
just
know,
makes
for
the
a
whole
different kind of
process smoother.
individual.
You don't have to like force anything down their throats. They're more, they're open to hearing what you have to say.
Right.
If you close minded, there's nothing I can say. Like, what I'm gonna say to a closed minded person?
Well, and that's the whole thing, is it's very, to try and explain that to somebody who can't hear you, even that part. Like, if you say, like, if I say to somebody who can't hear, if I say, well, I'm not going to try and explain it to you because you simply can't hear me, their ego is still going to be involved in that. And
Yeah,
like, that's where we really have to like be discerning right now, because there are just simply some people in this world that aren't going to wake up. And then there are some people, then there are a lot of people that are waking up. So we have to be really discerning about and that's kind of something I've been grappling with the last, like before we even started this, you're like asking me if everything was okay. And it's just like grappling with that kind of energy and how heavy everything is. And, we sort of like touched on the fact that people are out here feeling this energy and they don't understand what they're feeling. And so they're lashing out, or they're not, there's like no accountability that's being taken within them because they don't understand what's happening.
yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with the whole God complex as well. Because if I were to look at somebody and be like, oh, well, Saturn was square Mars yesterday, so that's probably why you're feeling like that, and they'd be like, okay.
I'm gonna look like that because I'm like, what?
You're
But
like, what does
I
that
get
even
the
mean?
yeah, nah, for real. Like I get what you're saying. I get
Yeah,
what you're saying.
it's interesting. These days are really interesting. I was actually talking with a friend of mine. We were trying to figure out what in our right minds, or like what our souls were actually thinking. Like, were we just sitting around a table before we decided to come into this lifetime and be like, hey, let's go during a pandemic? That would be really fun. Let's do that.
Honestly, why does that resonate? Like, why
Yeah,
does that
right?
just sound like? Why does that just sounds like something like? Because honestly, like, I don't think that things happen for like. I don't think things happen by chance. It's like it's no coincidence we're right here right now. And it's like, yeah, we probably did. It was like, hey, we was all probably like having a session, doing some
Yeah,
psychedelics. It's like, hey,
exactly.
we gonna go down there. We gonna
You know,
fuck.
it sounds like a really good idea. Like, who would choose? Certain
God,
certain
God,
people,
and God, the goddess.
yeah,
Because
really
it's a
chose this lifetime
troubling
for a
time right
reset.
now. It's a really scary and troubling time for a lot of people in the world,
It is.
which is nothing to be scared of. Like really, like just look around your day to day life. I saw people wearing masks. Most people are
Yeah.
still doing what they normally just do. You're going outside, you spending time at home. It's like things are okay. It's really only crazy on the news. And
Oh no, absolutely. I totally agree. And the funny thing, and like this is the way I explain it to people. Like, it's not that I don't believe that there's a virus. Of course that there's something going
of
on. Of
course,
course
yeah,
there is. The earth literally needed to
purifying
shed
itself.
something.
Yeah,
Like, that's why this is all happening. There's so many conspiracy theories about why it started, but in my heart of hearts, I know that Gaia needed to shed a little bit because I'm very connected to her.
oh,
So I get it.
no doubt about it.
But at the same time, to be afraid, like, I'm fully convinced, because I've been in contact with people that have been positive while they were positive and I still didn't get it. And so to be really afraid of it, and it's like, and I'm not like trying to lessen it in any way, but to be afraid of it is just going to make it worse.
Honestly
Like,
and
if
truly.
you really don't want to get the virus, then don't think about it. Put your mask on, wash your hands, like basic.
Do the stuff that you were supposed to be doing before. It's like if
And
you taking care
literally,
of
like, we could have been doing this when we just got the flu seasons,
it.
like, it's, how many people get sick during flu seasons? Really? A lot.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, they then covered up the whole flu thing, and it's like it's crazy. Like the people that are scared of it are the people that don't really take care of themselves. They're not eating right. They're not thinking right. They're hanging
Right.
around people that they don't really like. They're
Yeah.
watching the news all day. It's like they're feeding themselves with this fear, and so it's like you get sick. And it's like you said, like I don't even think about this. I don't even think about Trump. I don't even think about these different things that they distract us with because it's more important. It's like more important fish to fry.
Oh,
It's like
absolutely. There's so,
it's like
well,
people
and
out here lashing out and need help.
right.
It's like people are coming and saying like help take me to the next level. It's like people that want help, and it's like we up here getting distracted by some fear
Yeah,
when it's like
absolutely.
love
Well,
right there.
and that's what we see on the news. We only see the fear parts. And it's so funny when they try and do like the cutesy little
Like a,
segments where they're showing like puppy dogs
like a
or
cat getting like,
yeah,
yeah.
like silly. And I'm like, really? Okay, so you spent 45 minutes talking about how we should all be afraid. The stock market is crashing, something GameStop, whatever. And there's this pandemic, and now we have a new president, and we have all the, I mean, like all of the things. And then this 5 minutes, we're gonna talk about puppies.
They are crazy. They are the insane ones. I'm realizing this. That is insane.
It is
That
insane.
is
It
insane.
doesn't make any sense, but that's, I mean, and the funny thing is like with astrology, I like to watch the news out of fun, like just to laugh at it. Like, I mean, if I'm being real, I'll just get really high and watch the news, to be honest. Like,
Because it's crazy. It's like a TV sitcom. It's like Saturday Night Live. It's like one of them like SNL skits. Oh, that's same thing.
it is. Because it's not different. It's not even different than
They probably
SNL.
use the same writers in the scripts.
I would think so.
Because it's crazy because the news, like they use this. I had watched this video of all the news segments, and like they were literally saying the exact same script in the news from Houston to Detroit to Louisiana, and all
Yeah.
these different places. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, and that's the thing is, you have to sit there and wonder who decided that, who is really behind all of this new stuff, because to me I feel like there's um I don't know, I feel like there's a bigger plan.
Oh yeah, you can follow the dollars. You can see who talks about it in the stock market, the stocks. If like with the stock market, you can put the pieces together to the media, to religion, to government, to it's all they. It's crazy the web that they did that's been created. Because I don't like to say they because it's like I don't know who they
I
is.
don't know who they are either, but
But
it's
that's
definitely
been
in.
created by God, by whatever the case may be. It's crazy.
Well, and I think that, when talking about how there is God in all of us, we've really created this web too, to be honest. And I think that that's what's,
Co-creators.
what's happening is we're trying to write it. It's trying to, it's the balance. We're trying to
Yeah,
like flip it on its head and show people that it doesn't have to be so scary.
that's true. Because we are co-creators. We're talking about being creators, and God is the creator, but we're created in the image and likeness of God. So we have the ability to create, and so like that's a great point because it's like people have created this foundation. They thought that this was right. I think in my heart to heart, like I don't know if people actually. I don't know. I don't know. But it's like it seems like what they were doing, they thought what they were doing was right. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like now people coming with another end and another end and another end, and it's like we're all like coming together to try to make this thing right because nothing in itself is wrong. The way people's mind use these different tools like the stock market, government, religion, politics, like how we use these different tools is the messed up part because nothing in itself is evil. Like I don't believe that. Like we have good and evil. Like I feel like we're the gods and goddesses, the demons, the witches, the wizards, all walking here. So it's like I think we all have that in us, and it's like I don't think nothing is innately evil. It's like something that like we get taught this like with the knowledge. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like we get
I
taught
understand what
fear.
you're saying.
Hmm?
It's like having to, it's the duality of the darkness and the light, and knowing that, because I believe when people ask me like, what's the meaning of life, Betsy? And I'm like, well, first of all, you have to know what your own meaning of life is, because
Yeah.
everybody's meaning of life is different. But when it comes down to it, the essence of love is what it all really comes down to. And so when we look at the duality of darkness and light, it's not actually a duality, because you have to go through the darkness to the light. So it's one thing,
Yeah,
right?
it was more of
But
an alchemy
but
transformation.
we forget about that part when it comes to the media. When people are telling us how to live our lives, when people are telling us how to do certain things, and we think that that's the right way that we have to do that, and we don't know any other way of doing it, And so then that's when people like you and I show up and we tell people, nope, there's a different way. You can do something different.
Do something different.
And it's challenged.
Yeah, because they put so much darkness on TV. They like over like,
All of it.
but
All of it.
it
Yeah.
was crazy how you were
There's
saying like,
literally a show called Lucifer out there. Like,
I like that show. Have you seen it on Netflix?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
Is
it's
it
so
good?
dope. Like I will watch it and then like it will give you a different perspective on the devil and like his
I heard
real
it's
power.
funny. I heard he's
Like
pretty
it's
funny.
hilarious. It's hilarious. Like I'm waiting on the new season to come out. But no, I was saying like how they give us so much darkness on with everything, and it's like it's to find your way to the light.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you have to go through it, and sometimes like it's crazy. Like people have to program themselves with so much darkness to find their light.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
the
like you don't
refinement.
have to do that way. You don't have to go through all of that darkness to find it. Like you can choose love. Like you can choose to love at any moment. You don't have to go the way you were taught. You can choose this way, like this conversation between you and I. You can choose the way to light through love and
Yeah,
kindness and compassion, where it's lighter on your heart and lighter on everybody else's heart.
right.
Like I like this quote. I forgot who it was by, but it was saying there's two ways to change the change with fear and pain or the change with excitement and love. It's like it's on us. It's like which way do you have to go through all this heartache and pain to say, damn, I'm tired of this, I need to change? Or do you say, this is who I need to be to get to where I want to go, and I'm gonna just love that person along the way. I'm gonna love who I am now, I love who I was then. I forgive myself today, yesterday, tomorrow for what I'm gonna do, and continuously strive to be this higher being and who you want to be. And it's like that choice is literally, like what you choose to focus on. Your choice is really the power.
Yeah, absolutely. The becoming the best version of yourself every day, like waking up and knowing that you're gonna um that start your day off. I tell everybody that I'm like, always start your day. That first 5 minutes of your day is like the most important, because that's setting the tone for the rest of everything.
Yeah.
Not looking at your phone and not turning on the news, and not, we preach that on Twitter. Like I see that on Twitter at least once a day. I think people saying that on Twitter at least once a day, to not, before you get out of bed in the morning, don't look at your phone, don't look, which is ironic that it's on Twitter because you have to
Yeah, I know. It's like maybe it's a learning lesson.
yeah. But I always tell everybody, I'm like, if you start your day with your own energy instead of everybody else's energy, and you start that first 5 minutes, like, even if your day turns out to be not so good, at the end of the day, at least you can get back to yourself because you know what that feels like.
You knew your intentions. You said it, so it's like you can always return to where you said that where you want to be at.
And you don't have to buy into the negative day. If the negative day
Yeah.
happens, you don't
Now
have to
you
buy
know you
into
have a choice.
yeah, because you can always come back to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, nah, that's a dope and amazing message that people need to hear like first thing in the morning, because it's like set your intentions. If you forget, remember, and then go return back to yourself.
Yeah. It's just so much easier to do it. And like, I just tell people what works for me. And I'm like, then do whatever works for you. Like, mold it and shape it in the way that works for you. But like when I started doing that, and like before I even opened up my eyes, and people would always like argue with me, but my phone is my alarm. And I'm like, then turn off your damn alarm and put your phone down.
Yeah,
Like, why you gotta make it hard? Like, don't give me excuses. Like, this is you not
trying to
taking
set yourself
accountability.
up. You trying to set you're like yo no one up. You trying to set yourself up.
Exactly. Like, it's so funny.
It
But
is.
yeah, those are the people I work for.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I know you have you have your coaching business and different stuff like that. I was like, so how do you kind of integrate both like your spirituality with your business, and to like help uplift, and help spread your message?
So the YouTube channel has always, that was the biggest thing, because I have like 77,000 subscribers on that. So that was always the biggest part. And I didn't really, like, I kept myself in that little YouTube box for a while and started spreading myself around more in the last, I guess, year and a half, Twitter and Instagram and all of that. And For me, what's really interesting for me is having a spiritual business doesn't take the spirituality out of it for me. And I think that that's like the hardest part for a lot of people, because they're like, but we have all these rules and we have we got to pay our taxes and we got to do this and we got to do that. And I'm like, but you signed up to be a human in 2021 to have a human experience, but you also signed up to, so you have to remember it, even though I'm a spiritual being and I'm a sovereign being and I make my own choices, I also made a choice to be a human during this time.
Yeah.
And there are rules and regulations, at least until there
happen.
aren't.
Yeah.
Because I feel like someday we're actually going to be moving away from that system. I don't think it's going to be so rigid down the road. And whether that's in our time, or whether that's in like I have 3 boys, and maybe that's what's going to take, that's what's going to be during their time, or their children's time, or whatever. But I find I try not to think about it. I try not to think about all of the regulations that are behind everything. And I think that it's more about waking up every single day and doing what you love, and then letting everything else fall into place when it comes to the business side of stuff. Because I think, like, I even had a client a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, well, I started my business, but then I couldn't get my business license because I think she's in Texas too, but she was like they were giving her this like thing, and then now it's a pandemic and it's taking even longer. And I was like, so you started working retail, you stopped your spiritual business and you started working retail, and now you're miserable. And she's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, so then go back to doing your spiritual stuff. It's going to fall into place. I said, I guarantee you, the second that you take another client, that business license is going to come through like that. Like, the reason why it's not coming through is because you basically said, I guess I got to wait on it.
You telling the universe, you telling God, I got to wait on it. That's a great point.
Yeah. So it's really, to me, it's more about doing what you love every single day. And like, be a good person, do what you're supposed to do, whatever. And then at the end of the day, don't be so hard on yourself if things aren't perfect. Don't be so hard on yourself and I think that's the bigger message here, is that everybody's really, really hard on themselves when they become entrepreneurs, because they think that they have to do everything just so.
Yeah.
And that's the fear though too.
No, I hear you. And it's like, that's why I really love business, because, and then especially when you're following your passions and doing what's on your heart, because like business is just a big self-development journey. And then when you integrate that within like your spiritual gifts and like downloads and stuff that you've been given from the divine, it becomes like a soul evolving, a soul ascending like process. And it's like, you start to learn not to be so hard, and it's like you go through these trials, because it's like sometimes you'll get on and then you'll hop off, get on, get off, but it's like actually sticking to it and actually staying in for the long haul. Like you said, it's like, so you stopped your business to go do this.
Yeah.
You really want to do this?
Yeah.
Because it's like you really have to, and it's like that's like that's the whole point of it all. And it's like, I know everybody isn't like that's what people say. Everybody isn't built to be an entrepreneur, but everybody is built to invest in themselves. Whether they write, whether they like draw, whether they sing, whether they public speak. It's like investing in yourself. And it's like really like living out your passions and your dreams, because like once you take that leap, the divine takes that. The divine magnifies all of your efforts. It's like it doesn't matter. It's like you lose the people that's not supposed to be around you, and you gain beautiful souls whenever you connect and following your passion. And like that's just
and those people that are trying to hang on to that old life of theirs, because and I have another person that I'm very close to, that every single day he's like, I'm just so miserable, and I keep trying to find different ways that I can make money so I can stay home and write my novels and all of this. And I said, well, what if you just stop trying and you just start accepting where you are now, and then you let the universe show you? But that's the thing, is some people are so like tunnel vision that they won't let the universe show them what their next step is, because the universe will show them, or God will show them, or they'll start moving in that direction, and then they'll get scared and they'll go backwards.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen like right off top. It's like it
Exactly.
doesn't manifest instantly. It's like
Yeah,
the more you practice, the more instant manifestation, instant attraction comes. But it's like,
absolutely.
it takes time to actually hone in on those powers. And it's like, when you let go, it's like you doing what you got to do every day to build your company. And like, you don't have to worry about all the legalities. Like along the journey, you go learn what you need to do. It's like you go like figure out like how to start an LLC. Like, what do I need to do to get this going? But it's like understanding your passions and like, your direction and clarity, finding that clarity for yourself will help everything else. So like once you tap into that, you can easily go and find the legalities, how you can write things off on your taxes. And the crazy part is people be scared of like the taxes, and you get the best tax benefits from owning a business and being
Absolutely.
an LLC or like working network marketing businesses. It's like you can literally write up your gas, your car note, your food, your travel. Like I didn't
Not
call
being
trips.
responsible and taking care of all of taking.
It's like it's you are taken care of. It's like you can like the money you get from your job, you put it into a business, you and a nonprofit too.
Yeah.
Like these nonprofit organizations. Like I had an interview with someone yesterday, and like literally having a nonprofit, he was able to raise 300,000, feed over 20,000 families. I'm like,
That's amazing.
I'm
I
just
love that.
it was such amazing to hear. Like I was like it was just beautiful to hear like the story and hearing people's story and like what they doing for the
Yeah.
collective. Hearing your story and how you helping business owners and like see themselves and get to the next level. It's just like it's amazing because it's like the world needs more people like us, especially at this time with
Yeah.
with this biggest illusion of fear. It's
Yeah.
like
Well, and there's also a lot of people out in the spiritual community too well, there's in the spiritual, like they're spiritual.
yeah, I that this people that call themselves like the spiritual community.
Yeah.
I don't even like. I'm a spirit.
I
I'm
know
a God.
that's hard.
I'm a energy. Like
It's hard, yeah.
people.
But there's a lot of people out there that also discourage people from starting businesses too. Like if you haven't done it by now, then you're not gonna. It's so saturated, and I'm like, listen, we all have a gift.
Yeah,
We're all different. We all have a gift, and
that's me.
somebody else needs to hear what we have to say, or somebody else needs our product or our, words or whatever. Like don't squelch people just because you're afraid that they're going to take your bag. Like let's
Yeah, that's. I was just like, it's that fear, that lack mindset. They're working on the same programs as the people that's holding everybody down.
yeah,
The people that's like controlling all of these systems, they didn't sold out to the system. Honestly,
yeah,
it's only a few people that actually like choose another way and say, no, you should start that business. No, you really should. Like, no, God wants you to do that. God wants you to manifest millions of dollars so you can free yourself and your family and
yeah,
generate. Like, no, God wants that. I,
yeah.
like, but it's like people feel like it's not enough. It's like it's crazy to me.
Well,
That's
and they expect it to happen overnight. There's a lot of people, and man, like the YouTube world, like, and a lot of people have come to me and asked me, like, how did you get your channel to grow so quickly? And I was like, because I don't have a gimmick. Like, I'm just myself. I turn on the camera. I don't even edit anything. Like, there's nothing. I don't do anything different.
yeah.
And I'm like, so when you think that there's a special thing that you need to do to make your channel bigger, or to make your audience bigger, or your followers bigger, or whatever. I don't even like the word followers. I think it's silly.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that you have to do other than just be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where people get it wrong, because then they're like, well, I don't, but being myself isn't working. And then I'm like, then you're not being yourself. Like, if it's not working, then you're not even being yourself. Like, listen to what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so fucking real. That's real. Because if it's not working, you're not being yourself.
Right.
That's
Then maybe you're not supposed to be on YouTube. Maybe that's not where you're supposed to be. Like, just
yeah.
don't put yourself in an expectation.
Yeah, and it's crazy you say that because it's like I struggle with that like for a while now, and it's like I realized like my platform, and it's like I was thinking like when I started YouTube channel, like what I'm gonna say on there, like what I'm gonna talk about. like it's just me on the camera. I'm just like, I don't really have much to say when it's just me. But it's like in conversation, I love conversation. I love talking. I can do this all day. And like I felt like this was where I am. I love connecting with people. Like I'm a connector of people.
Yeah.
Like I realized that was one of my gifts. Like I have like energy where like it transmutes and like we best friends.
Yeah.
Especially like with people that I connect with. And it's like I like that because it's like share your soul. It's like I share mine, and it's like
That's
I'm really with the oneness, but at the same time I'm still myself.
right. That's a Sagittarius gift.
And it's like, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
I'm like, congrats on the 77,000. That's huge. That takes dedication and daily work and like working on yourself and being the best you could be. Like, that's huge.
Yeah. And I really, because of the, like, I like my YouTube presence, I'm sort of pulling away from it a little bit. So I don't know. And that's the thing is like, everybody's like, well, you would just give up on 77,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. And I'm like, I mean, if I felt called to
You felt
do
called,
that,
yeah,
I would. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to hold on to, because to me, that's just a number. Like, I understand that there are people behind that number, but most of the people that are in that number aren't even, watching anymore. So,
Yeah.
like, to me, it's just not even, it's
And
not
it
even
might be more for the people, being in front of more people, like actually face
in a
to
different way.
face, like
Yeah.
giving
Well, I can't
giving the
wait for that
energy.
to happen again. That's where I shine. I like to be in front of people. Like,
Same. That's why I was like, this is where I shine. Like just being on camera, I'm awkward. Like I'm just like I don't know what to say. Like, but
yeah,
it's like in conversation, it just flows. And so like, no, I definitely get what you're saying. It's like that's why I like working with clients as well, and like actually being able to help somebody get to the next level, or like tweeting or just getting my thoughts off, or something like that. It's like that's like find your lane and drive in it.
right. Exactly. And stay there. Just keep going.
Yeah, man, but
For
much
sure.
gratitude. Like this has been an amazing conversation. Like thank you for, taking this time to spend with me and like, share your story. Like it was very inspirational, very enlightening. Like thank you.
Thanks for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm
No.
glad we were finally able to do it.
Oh yeah, me too. I knew it was gonna happen. Divine time, man. I don't even worry about time. It's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen, and it did.
Absolutely.
So let everybody know where they can follow you at your website, how they can get more info on your services and how they can get in contact with you.
Fearless Intuition is the YouTube channel. You can find my website's fearlessintuition.net. And then on Instagram, I'm Fearless Intuition 1111, and on Twitter, I'm just Betsy with the threes. So
Yeah, yeah.
that handle is different, but yeah. So I'm everywhere. You can catch me everywhere. I am having a class this weekend, which is going to be cool. It's about detaching from things, the mastering detachment, which is huge to manifest in your life. You have to be able to detach yourself from the expectations and stuff. So that's going to be really cool. That's happening this Saturday, and you can find that on my website too.
Oh, dope. So
Yeah.
I'll put all of that in the link in the description. I'll put your social media and everywhere. Y'all go follow Betsy. Go get some of these astrology tarot gems and just soul and divine gems, man. Divine being right here, man. This is the God conversations with God, conversation with the goddess. Much appreciated. And thank y'all for taking y'all precious time and energy to listen to us. Hope y'all got some from it. See y'all on the next go around.